everybody, welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm Thundercloud. Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after it rains. Let's have some fun and linguistic games. Tonight, what have we got? A very special show. I've got Eric Briggs's Timeless Flowers, hence the flower shirt, later on his water carrier. We've got a special guest, Bernd-Und Kusch from the High Country Theatre from Armidale, who will be doing a reading close on up. And Ashley, we've got Gladys, Skye, welcome everybody, hello Bridget, everybody over there, and Gabriel's back, as well as Saul. Good to see you all here. Let me get my book. And jump back. Well, last night on Chillin' Tuesday, I did a bit of a special on James Macaulay, and Skye read out of Mary Gilmore's book, Battlefields. One of the things about James Macaulay, a very famous poet, because he was involved in one of the biggest literary scandals. Now, before I get on and forget everything there, let's begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast today, and the traditional custodians of land right around this continent, now called Australia, and acknowledge that sovereignty's never been ceded. The Timeless Flowers, this is what I'll be doing later. Last night I was reading out of James Macaulay's stuff, and he was involved in putting together a bunch of a bit of garbage, him and another guy called Harold Stewart, not Douglas Stewart, and it was submitted to Max Harris of the Angry Penguins magazine back in the day, and under the literary name Ern Malley. Now, the Ern Malley affair ended up with the publisher Max Harris going to jail for publishing obscene material. Now, one of the things in the preface of his book, he talks about he's really a stickler for verse, form, rhyme, traditional form poetry as opposed to that free verse, which I'm reluctant to call modern free verse because it has been used for quite some time by, in Australia, even our greats, Les Murray, Harold Hooton, Ujuru Nunako, and many more, Rosemary Dobbs, and many of our great poets have used free verse. And I think as diverse poets that we all become as we practice our craft, we try to do things like haiku, villanelle with 19 lines, sonnets, and free verse. This brings me to Eric Briggs here, the Timeless Flowers, and Ernest Briggs, the Timeless Flowers and the Water Carrier. Ernest was interesting. This was published by the Courier Mail in 1952, and he had a preoccupation with the Chinese poets and the simplicity and brevity of what they expressed. So you'll find in some of these ones that I'm doing, they're quite short but very profound, so I'll give you time to digest them as we go as well. So this is even signed with good wishes, sincerely Ernest Briggs, so it's a great copy to have, and that's what we've got here at the Australian Poetry Library, and we're always looking for donations of poetry books. Out there in YouTube and Facebook world, if you've got any great poetry books that you want to donate, 144 Bradley Street, Guyra, that's where you can send them to. You find them in bookshops or op shops, or you've got some on your shelf, or you're a poet. If you've got a book and you want to send us your own poetry book, and we'll put it into the Australian Poetry Library. We're hitting about 700 books at the moment, so that's pretty fantastic in 3 years, 700 books of poetry that I've collected here for timelessness and all eternity. And which is actually what Douglas Stewart and Nancy Keesing did by compiling heaps and heaps of Australian verses into books through the 20th century. And you'll find some of those books of ballads by Anon over there with stuff, All right. Yeah, Anon was a very prolific writer, as always has been. So Ernest Briggs, The Timeless Flowers, and he did spend time in Asia, this fellow. The first one, The Timeless Flowers. It's not a striptease. The jade-encrusted palanquins have gone to halls of turquoise and tapering towers. Beneath the pine, the poet muses on the timeless flowers. Yeah, so that's that real brevity, just 4 lines again, but it is rhymed and as well. This one, The Meeting. A lane where wild white roses musk, a grove of willows and 3 mulberries. Why should my heart so long remember these? 'Twas there I came upon her in the dusk. Sounds a bit soulish, doesn't it? Love poetry. Yeah, that's all right. You feel free to take the mickey out of me any time, of course. She who is music, her quietude is like the gentle playing of moonbeams on the pool when winds decrease. Her grace is like the motion of wisteria swaying above the high pavilion of enchanted peace. The music pavilion. Oh, sorry, no, the mountain snow, that's the next one. The blossom of the hawthorn bough is not more white than high peak from which these waters flow, nor blossom of the jessamine such keen delight as the unspotted beauty of the snow. Yeah, because like we're up here in Guyra, most of us have had snow, so we know how beautiful it was. Yeah. The music, oh no, the rock remains. Though man may loiter, toil or rest, or gild the fleeting hours with song or play, or journey to the east or to the west, the rock remains, the mud flat wears away. These really remind me a lot of Zen poems, sort of meaningless but with meaning. You take your own thing away from it. You know. The flowers close. Oh yeah, this. Oh, it's awesome. Wiser than men who have not learned repose, in their calm, round, obedient to the law, the flowers bloom, and in the twilight close, to bloom once more. Just like, oh, I was reading these and they're just so nice. But hey, it's the first day of autumn. It is. And have you noticed that there's little changes in the trees, the leaves have started to go up here anyway. I mean, down on the coast you probably wouldn't really notice because in those tropical areas they don't have trees like we have up here that change. Autumn gold, this is after the Chinese of Xin Chi Ichi. When I was young and all my days were glad, my songs were sung, pretending I was sad. But now that I'm old, with sorrow, root and fruit, before this autumn gold, my lips are mute.
Oh, very good answer.
Yeah.
When did he live?
Well, this was published in '51, and I do have...
I don't know. Mid-20th century.
Yeah. Yeah, the Courier Mail, Brisbane '52 was published.
There was a lot happening in Brisbane at that moment. Surprising.
Yeah. Well, I've got 3 more here, but they're for later because they're from the second part of the book called The Water Carrier. And so what I'm going to do now, before I go on and invite Bernd-Und, just go through a few things. What's happening here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame? Well, guess what? Oh, this is awesome! This week I found out we've got a heat of the Australian Poetry Slam here in August. It's been going 20 years and we've got one happening here. So that is going to give all of you guys and all of these people all around here the opportunity to compete in a slam and get to go to the state titles and then the Australian titles in Sydney at the Opera House. Now, just what is a poetry slam? It's not what we're doing now, right? The poetry slam, I'm in the middle of reading Miles Merrill's book, who runs it. Slam poetry is not a thing. There's no such thing as a slam poem or even a slam poet. There's poets who perform in poetry slams. And the idea of a poetry slam is you've got 2 minutes, there's 5 people randomly chosen in the audience by throwing lollies out. So we're going to need a big audience that week. It's Tuesday the 16th of August. There's going to be a workshop from their poet that they send here. And the 17th of August, which is a Wednesday word, so that's going to be Australian Poetry Slam here. Wow, that is cool. So that's number 1. So slam poetry, check it out on YouTube, the Australian Poetry Slam. That is fantastic. Congratulations to all the people down at the Banjo Patterson Australian Poetry Competition who won places and that. I'm not going to rattle them off because there were so many of them. But that's over, and of course that was what brought me here back 3 years ago almost. So yes, the 24th, 25th of March, that was the beginning of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And they flattened it, didn't they? Yeah, that's flattened. And that one there, get that one too! Come on, we got them all! Not quite, but it is flat, isn't it? We've flattened the curve. Right, so 3 years and I've got through. Yeah, it's been interesting. Been a bit of an interesting time, yeah. Alright, so yeah, 3 years I've been here. We've done well, all of you. Thank you very much for your support. And you too. It could help if on your way out you would like to just drop $5 in the donation tin. Thank you for those who have already done that. And people out there, there's going to be a GoFundMe link in the bottom of all these YouTube videos. So, you know, there's all these lights and stuff cost money, and you know, earth resources, whatever. So, and you know, this is it. This is what we're doing it for poets. Fiori Musicali. The Armidale Chamber Choir is coming here on the 25th of March with J.S. Bach's St. John Passion. Now, the sound in here is just awesome. Oh! Yeah, and they love it because they stand here and there's like 30 plus of them, all without microphones, a little 3-piece chamber orchestra there, all the audience over there. It's $35 or $30 for a concession. Tickets are online. They're in control of the ticketing, but that would be fantastic. That's a Saturday, and a week later, on a Saturday night, on April Fool's Day, the Fool's Bush Dance. Yeah, with the big hairy bush dance band. You got that one in your diary, Saul?
I do.
You do? Fantastic. I've just been making up the flyers. Yeah, Saul does the rattle, plays the baby rattle, the lagerphone. And right, and then Saturday market, yeah, and Sunday yoga with me at 9 o'clock. Saturday market here, we're always looking for stall holders, people who want to sell stuff, because actually, if you don't have stall holders, you don't have a market, you can't even attract customers. So it's going to be a bit light on this weekend, but next weekend will be better. And look at this stage, big call out for acts as well. So if you hear of any theatre groups or travelling Wilburys, or Roy Orbison's dead, isn't he? Yeah. He died just after April. Yeah. Oh, my heart's broken. No, not really. But all our people who took the vaccine. Should I just say that live? Yep, because it's now common knowledge. Right, Bernard, welcome. All the way from the High Country Theatre in Armidale, Bernd-Und Kusch.
The Year of the Cat. The carmine cat sits on the sapphire blue mat, wooing the sun, meditating now and then. The carmine cat sits on the sapphire blue mat, reminding you of the colourful garden. The carmine cat sits on the sapphire blue mat, thinking, gosh, wow, the long grass needs a mow now.
Oh, woo!
Aspirational autumn walk. I walk and walk and walk. The ever-searching wind blows a withered solitary leaf in front of those weary, wandering feet. Bowing down slowly, I pick up nature's secret facts. And while I still wonder wildly about the death of life, spring eternal enters those weary, wandering eyes.
Wow.
Time poor? We have all the time in the world, because time is always running out to meet us. Thank you.
Oh wow, that was wonderful, thank you. I really like the very first one, the sapphire cat. Yeah, that one. Here we go. This one brought a tear to my eye when I read the last line the other day. It's called The Water Carrier. And I'm an Aquarius, so I can kind of relate. His life is service, daily, humbly wrought, jogging the urban road between the ruts. No day in all the years has he not brought his load of water to these squalid huts. Kindly his nature, easy as his trot, yellow and violet his girded cloak. One hand restrains the swaying of a pot, the other stays the burden of a yoke. By village and by tillage, league on league, he weaves accustomed fields and bears his freight from door to friendly door without fatigue. Each housewife knows his calculated gait. and nothing breaks its uniformity, save when he hurries to an appointed hour to greet an old-time friend unexpectedly, or bustles to some blue-tiled temple tower. His day is full of simple homely things, the small surprises that a new day brings, yields, the subtle changes that a season brings to hills and streams and valleys, flowers and fields, the heightened promise that the year fulfills, the ravage of the winter to confute. He lifts his eyes at sunset to the hills and makes a tune upon his lacquered flute. He's lived long and yet has no son has he to wait upon his spirit when it goes down to the yellow spring's obscurity and on to where the heavenly river flows. And yet, to palliate his soul's travail, the children gather round his knees, charmed by the twilight, by a fairy tale, to beg for other whimsicalities. Nor in the day alone is service done, for often his vine-wreathed door at night will come the knock of some poor troubled one, with broken strands of life to reunite, to rest until their bitterness is stayed, the pain made loose and heart consoled by some strange holiness, their fear allayed by living waters that no pot can hold. Made tolerant by time his soul has grown, slowly amenable and resonant, since he first tramped the midnight fields alone and trudged till dawn, perplexed and dissonant, till wisdom came that nothing can surprise. He's exalted in the sun, endured the rain, looked long at life with calm, far-seeing eyes, and grown the stronger for his dearth and pain. He's a master of his years, hard-won content, in his at length, who many times has seen his hope lie ruinous, his ardour spent, enduring change until his will has been to test his life by things that are divine, to shape his passage with such patient art that when his work is done, it still will shine upon the altar of the loving heart. And I think we could all hope in our lives to aspire to be remembered in a loving way. And on that, someone who I love in this town, Gladys Wilson.
James, I know it's Australia.
Do
I'm
you?
from Australia.
I'll get that right away for you, because I know
Thank
it
you,
is.
sir.
So come on up.
Okay. I need Australia.
That's that. Just up.
James, what would I do without you?
I know.
I don't.
You could be doing poetry.
Yes.
No, you wouldn't. You'd like not as much as you do now.
No, exactly. Yes,
And,
I've got to do
that's what I
that.
was thinking, because Ashley said that to me one day. He said, and Gabriel said the same thing.
Well,
And
exactly.
Skye, well, she come in here and she's there, and I've got to just go and finish this
Well,
poem.
4 or 5 can't
And that's all because I'm here. Anyway, no, because you're all here anyway.
Well, firstly tonight, welcome everyone to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. And I'd also like to thank those who have kindly asked how my twin sister is going after a bit of a medical episode. And I thank them very much, because it's nice to live here and to know that people care. And I thank James very much for his wonderful support that he has given. And it is great to be here tonight, even after my disastrous day in the garden. I feel tonight I'm not alone. Okay, well, I wrote this one some time back, and it's just called Australia, and I'll put down there again. We live in this wonderful country that's divided by land and sea, where our ancestors fought for freedom to keep us all safe and free. With this ever-growing nation of ours, there is so much to share. Let's all stand together as proud Australians to show we really care. The rugged landscape of the bushland with peacefully flowing rivers and streams. Our beautiful scenic view of the historic Blue Mountains is the envy of one's dreams. Still, all of nature's creations, nothing can compare to the everlasting eucalyptus and sweet-smelling scent of wattle that drifts in the evening air. Even with good intentions, many still like to brag about our precious icon, the good old Aussie flag. We should all be thankful in this life, as there's peace forevermore, without villains and bushrangers of long ago that have now vanished from our shore. The kangaroo and emu, koala, our cockatoo, and the red glow of the setting sun that hangs over Uluru. Please raise our hands to salute our country that's ever so rich and rare. Now come on mate, let's celebrate for Advance Australia Fair. Thank you guys. I'll get out of the break with James, but it is great to be back tonight. You don't know, sometimes there's things in life you think, oh no, I can't do that again, but you always end up back here. But it is lovely to be here tonight and to have so many in here. And it's really, you know, it takes the pressures off the everyday drudgery that I've had for the last month. So I thank James anyhow.
Thank you.
James, over there. I don't know where he's going to put that. I'll just
Yeah,
leave
but
it there.
seriously, I couldn't have done this without all of you too. So that's very true. It's a group effort. Got two for you. I'm going to finish off with Ernest Briggs' spoken word, and it's in brackets after Kung Fu Tzu. Short one. The flying arrow. Oh, sorry. I'm going to start that again. The spoken word. The flying arrow you may find and break, the spear may shatter, and the burnished sword, but a 4-horse chariot cannot overtake the spoken word. That is the power of poets and poetry. And on that, there's a big in Australian poetry, we have this wonderful thing called Aussie hip hop. And as I've been considering what is Aussie hip hop, I've come to the conclusion it's like modern bush poetry.
It's the best of them.
It is. It's very interesting. What it is, it's for us. So hip hop appeals to people because to be able to express yourself eloquently and express ideas that other people think but can't say is quite powerful. When you do that and other people resonate with that, that's why you get people like Kanye West or Snoop Dogg with or Eminem particularly coming out of that working, I'll say working class, but I suppose anyone who's disaffected in any way by our kind of violent society that in a way manifests PTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So if you've ever watched the news and seen beheadings and wars and we've all got it. So yeah, I'm feeling you. It's like that's what poets do. So they get that out there. Here's something. I was really like, how do I get this? Because like mental health in our society affects about depression affects about 6% of people, and it's on the rise in places around the world. And okay, here are some things that you should never say to a depressed person. I call this gaslighting. Yeah, so okay. So, concept warning here, if you're a softie, it could make you cry. What? Worry, not this mind, no need to hurry, all in good time, float on the wind, breezes, the wind blows. What? Worry? Why no? Cheer up, sunshine, time to stop regressing. You're so depressing. Always focused on the past. Little wonder your pain lasts. Chin up, snap out of it. You can try harder. No one cares if you make yourself a martyr. In fact, you're unlikely to dance. It's your own business if you shit your pants. Get some courage. Stop being a slave to others' opinions. Come on, get a bit brave. Stop being a victim of guilt and shame. Always looking for someone else to blame. Cheer up, smile, decide to be happy. That's one of the really ones you should never say, decide to be happy. Your decision and choice to view life as crappy. If you have an itch, then scratch that itch, but for fuck's sake, stop whining like a bitch. Can't be that bad, could be worse. Your lack of gratitude's a curse. This too shall pass, let it go. You think you have it bad? Seriously, bro? Where's gratitude? No need to feel sad. Come on, just change your attitude. Oh, life's not that bad. A lot of people have it. Much bigger worries. Eat a bag of cement and harden up the slurry. What? Worry? Not this mine. No need to hurry, all in good time. Float on a breeze as the winds blow. What? Worry? Definitely no. It's sort of a funny one, that one. I don't know how I feel about that now. How I've written it, yeah, thought about it, and yeah, but it's like, when you want to process stuff, for me, it's always about writing it down. That's how I process things, because it's up here, and it's like, I gotta get it out. And once it's out, then it's out, yeah. All right, who's next? After that, we've got Ashley. Hello, Ashley, welcome.
Well, I've written a sort of comment about country and greeting country, which has been a big part of my life when I worked out in the bush for a warren away. Black fellas never ceded sovereignty. They're waiting for us austral sons to claim ours. Then white fella, black fella, yellow fella can have theirs together. Sovereignty, that is. What have I been reading?
Oh, I've been considering that word this week too.
Which one?
Sovereignty.
Yes, so have I.
Me too.
Hypothesis, implication, and testing of those steps or parameters in the testing. Yes, they've enjoyed coming here again tonight. We all like these little symbols and echoes of integration as we loom up against the disintegratory. What have I been reading? John Locke. I never read him before, the great English philosopher of the early 17th, or middle 17th century? John Locke, early middle 17th century. My sister and her very brilliant daughter are great Lockeans, so I thought it's time I studied him. But as I was driving around the table end, thinking about the essay concerning human understanding, which is a broad span, isn't it, to write about, I thought of Locke's idea of the tabula rasa, that in some sense we're all written upon by the uniqueness of our experience. But I kept thinking, well, stone the crows, if we're asserting there is a tabula rasa, Surely we're making a something of zero that's both a priori and post priori. So to my mind, can there ever be a tabula rasa? I suppose the English always have had zero as zero, and the French always used to teach zero as number one. Relates back to all that. Well, that's what I've been reading, not poetry, not literature, but John Locke. And I missed him in my life, and I missed something of importance. So my sister tells me. Here's a poem. So many thoughts, outside the star, sky night set is being. And at noon, no, we could all slip, not escape at that point, but there you are at noon. But most before and after it, so big and small the interstice, there, see. I really want to say we should walk more, so those without chariots don't get jealous of us, so those who can't come along with the big words can feel part of it too. And the bow should be left in the corner as we hand out the arrows. For we all must surmise there was something, maybe before, and now the blazing excitement, the future hyperbolic of. My mind falls away. I would cling to the noonwards, but a wink away we all must. See shadows laced, at best, with scarlet umbrage of the setting so setting, should we say, sun, ushering forth all on their questering way. I thought of dear old Rilke when I read that for some reason. My dad's last words to me were, thank you for introducing me to Rainer Maria Rilke. They weren't all his last words, but we won't weigh you down with his final words. Now, just a stanza from The Kitchen Window by John Watkins, because I'll read a couple of poems by Bruce Dorr after that. And I thought from memory how similar John Watkins and Bruce Dorr in the stamp of them and in the stamp of their essence to me were and are. They're very, very similar coves, actually. Him on his horse, high and going higher, a man of ideals, I think. And Bruce Dorr was a very similar type of cove. From the kitchen window. From the kitchen window I can see across the plain, past blue gums in the foreground and wattle down the lane. In the middle distance there's a wide and grassy flat, but the mountains on the skyline are where my thoughts are at. Yes, if you're ever interested in going into philosophy, there's a site on the web called Early Modern Text, and it's really, really something. It's great. Early Modern Text. They put the great classics of modern philosophy into contemporary English, and they give you a good gloss between each essay or book or collection of letters so that you're in tune with what those concepts shone up like in that era, 17th, 18th, 19th century. So remember that if you want to go on some mental journeys, Early Modern Text. Now I chose two poems of Mr. Dorr. He's a very fine writer, is Brucey. Marceau at the Comedy Theatre. This has a particular meaning for me, but so be it. Marceau at the Comedy Theatre. You're the accused whose trap was to be born, to be circumspectly torn between those two loquacious hounds, defence and prosecution, whose deliverance is only at rope's end, for whom the hangman comes as final friend. You're every prisoner who ever fought the cage walls with his palms, whose body cried out from a taut crouch against the interdict of bars, whose hands for a second only, burst through and stroked the stars, who rose full height, exultant, free to find the prison of his fingertips closing fast, panicked and braced his life to bear that weight, the recurring nightmare. Fate fell down within himself, became faceless, anonymous, inane. You're each of us who walk in the spring air, tugged by the leash of instinct, poodle-wise, la vie parisienne dans le jardin zoologique, who rhythmical as clocks tick, climb an invisible stair, are comforted to trace the benefits, banisters accompanying ascent, stumble, recover, poker pasty-faced and with profound intent, achieve a happy landing where, surprise, surprise, we see more stairs, more banisters. You bring us with your own remorseless grace, a loneliness as pure and crystal clear as any moon might offer in the space between two fists of cloud to draw our fear upward in union with that heartbreak face, that throat slashed by a smile from ear to ear. Yes, that's it, folks. That was Monsieur Marceau, I think, particularly the that throat slashed by a smile from ear to ear. And where was my other marker here? Before I go into the starlight. I've got a friend in Paris and she often dreams of the stars falling in avalanche. But I suppose when you do it cosmically, they could be going that way, river run that way, or any angle, ever which way. So, but always comforts her when she gets down. She says to me, "Oh, I dreamt last night of the river of stars streaming past me, and I woke and felt and felt and felt." Well, we're feeling it's pretty good, isn't it? This side of paradise. And on the other side of paradise, our feelings may be. Well, I did put a little marker in here. Ah, there it is. I think a rather beautiful poem. Presences to my students. I think he was a person very much with his students. This, I would say, love life, for what is always beyond you, the perfume of a girl who has gone just as you entered the room, the ripple on the bright pool of the fish already steadily swimming elsewhere, the cat's footfall on the purring carpet, the smile on the face that is turned ever so slightly away from you, no insult intended, so that you are never sure whether what you saw ever really happened. Girl, fish, cat, smile, until the very last, when you know and the pencil falls blunted. And I really hope that we're not finally going to confront the mirror, as Mr. Kusch often does with weary, wandering eyes, but he would say that that is a salute of hope and reality. I'll finish with a page from the Anthology of Chinese Literature, that great culture of writers and writing across 4,000 to 6,000 years. Let's see, I'll be serendipitous. Yep. Part of Li Shangyin's 7 love poems. The 7th. Phoenix tail on scented silk, flimsy layer on layer, blue patterns on a round canopy, stitched deep into the night. The sliced moon of a fan did not hide the shame. The coach drove out with the noise of thunder, no time to exchange a word. I had waited in the silent room. Oh, I find this hard to read. I had waited in the silent room while the gold of the wick turned dark. Till now no message at all has come, though the pomegranates are red. Only a dappled horse stands tethered on a bank of drooping willows. Where shall I wait for a kind wind to blow from the southwest?
Oh, well. As a teacher of English as a second language for 13 years in adult literacy,
Let's give him a try.
that was a fairly interesting experience for me, and the understanding of words and their etymology is pretty important. I've got a voice, lots of people have already got voices. I've also got three sons, but two of them in their distant lineage have got Tasmanian Aboriginal. And one of them has taken the name Makarata as a Facebook handle, right? So it reminds me of the Uluru Statement from the Heart, Makarata. Because we've got, at the moment, we've got this government pushing for a voice. Also reminds me of Udjuru Noonuckal's poem written just after our First Nations people got recognition as citizens. The last line, "Oh, fellow citizen, what have they done to us?" So, for my son, I thought I'd read out the Makarata Statement, because he's taken that name. Because this Makarata Uluru Statement of the Heart was of 250 different First Nations that came together to create and craft this. And from what I'm hearing when I listen, sovereignty means they want to make their own decisions. I think we all would like to make our own decisions, and we've got this 123-year-old anacracy called the Federation of Australia, with states that weren't even supposed to be here. Where's the treaty? You know, the treaty, that's what I've been hearing for years, you know. Treaty, yeah, treaty now. Where's the treaty? We're still at war. Officially, it's still a black war. It really is. You mightn't seem it, but when we've got over 30% in jail, I might read A-Town to you later. Because there's a bit of shit going down in A-Town out there. The Makarata means coming together after a struggle. To supervise a process of agreement making between governments and First Nations, truth telling about our history. Let's dissect that. It's not a top-down Anthony Albanese, like, I'm going to give you a voice, I know what's best for you. That's a white government thing, isn't it? Tell them what we know best what's for you. My comment, that. We gathered at the 2017 National Constitutional Convention, coming from all points of the Southern Sky, to make this statement from the heart. Our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander tribes were the first sovereign nations of the Australian continent. They made their own decisions about where they lived and its adjacent islands, and possessed it under our own laws and customs. This our ancestors did according to the reckoning of culture, from the creation according to the common law, from time immemorial, and according to science for more than 60,000 years. This sovereignty is a spiritual notion. The ancestral tie between the land and Mother Nature and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who were born therefrom remain attached thereto and must one day return thither to be united with their ancestors. The link is the basis of the ownership of the soil, or better, of sovereignty. It's never been ceded or extinguished and coexists with the sovereignty of the Crown. How could it be otherwise? That peoples possess the land for 60 millennia and this sacred link disappears from world history in merely the last 200 years. With substantive constitutional change. Do you hear that? They want substantive constitutional change. They want, I listen. White fella, don't see, don't listen. My comment. Indigenous knowledge that. White fella, don't see, don't hear. Substantive constitutional change and structural reform. We believe this ancient sovereignty can shine through as a fuller expression of Australia's nationhood. Proportionally, we are the most incarcerated people on the planet. These are your fellow citizens. They're not innately criminal people. Their children are aliened from their families at unprecedented rates. This can't be because they have no love for them. I've never seen no love for their kids. And our youth language in detention centres that have seen numbers, and they should be our hope for the future. Don't let this make you feel guilty. Make this feel you empowered to do something and make a big change. The dimensions of our crisis tell plainly the structural nature of the problem. This is the torment of our powerlessness. We seek constitutional reforms to empower our people and take a rightful place in our own country. When we have the power over our destiny, our children will flourish. They'll walk in two worlds and their culture will be a gift to the country. We call for the establishment of a First Nations voice enshrined in the Constitution. That just doesn't mean the current Constitution. It could mean the Constitution, the new one, or we could just stick with the old stupid one that's not really democratic. And Albanese, not you, what's he worth? $14 million in investment properties. Little wonder they don't remove the negative gearing loophole that makes like 80,000 empty homes in this country and a rental crisis. And the capital gains tax break. Yeah, call you out, Albanese. Makarata is the culmination of our agenda, the coming together after a struggle. Coming together after a struggle. Coming together. It captures our aspirations for a fair and truthful relationship where the people of Australia and a better future for our children based on justice and self-determination. We seek a Makarata Commission. We seek a Makarata Commission. We seek a Makarata Commission, the cock crows 3 times, to supervise the process of agreement making between governments and First Nations and truth-telling about our history. In 1967, we were counted. In 2017, we seek to be heard. So So we leave the base camp and start our trek across this vast country, and we invite you to walk with us. We invite you to walk with us in a movement of the Australian people for a better future. So that's the Makarata Statement. And yeah, me just as a human, who's my first degree in environmental science, double major, environmental policy and economics. I studied environmental policy of Australia, and yeah, it's a pretty shit, outdated constitution when we've got two sides, party politics. Even running for the Greens, I would like party politics. There's so much. Now, what I like to share with you is this wonderful picture here of a circle with dots. Now, when you sit around in a circle with dots, you don't actually have a leader. You have a group of wise people making decisions who go out and really seek to represent. And how about that Norwegian model, the Scandinavian model, where politicians don't actually get paid more than the average wage, and they take public transport everywhere? You know, why does that Albanese guy get $360,000 a year when the average income in Australia is like $90,000 a year? And I know most of you are on that too. Because average doesn't mean everyone's there. Yeah. Look, A-Town. I'm going to read A-Town to you because now I've had my say. I want to share this last one with you, and then I'll get on with it. So I guess most people have got a little bit of an idea of there's a bit of violence and youth problem running around, of course, chuck breaking glass and having because kids, they can't go home, it's not safe or whatever. Because I'm not there, I don't know. A-Town. Alice Springs never sleeps. Lost Jarjums creep. Grandmas and aunties weep. From politicians, barely a peep. Stolen car horns. Beep, 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 beep. Wait and bake. Windows break. Heart ache. Snatch, grab, take. No clear direction. Opaque. If I'm correct, everyone wants and deserves respect. But many deflect attention and redirect, especially those elect who forget about cause and effect. What choice? Another unrepresentative voice? And more pocket pissing from those who don't listen but are always happy dissing, 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 and don't listen, listen, listen. Raking sound, look around. Cops, hound. What about sitting down on the ground where solutions can be found all around for A-Town in unity and responsible affirmative action of the community, because there is no excuse not to nurture and care for the children and the youth, no excuse not to listen, make traction, take action across all factions, because inaction brings destruction. Through distraction, that's inaction. Inaction. All right. And welcome, Skye. Come on up.
This one I just wrote down as a thought a couple of days ago and finished it today. Yeah. It's called Barefoot. Barefoot. Walking, stepping to and fro, stone by stone I softly go, watching rocks that roughly flow, reds and yellows, orange glow, warmth beneath and round my toes. Grounded to the earth am I to see the dust and soft dirt fly, stepping meekly, stepping shy, as so the sharp stones met no sigh of painful cries and jumping high. A moment thought was absent bleak, laying on the path I meet, a black snake sunning, waiting, wanting heat, and popped her head as though asleep, slithered off in grass so deep. A moment's thought that did not keep, my focus was not on my feet, walking barefoot out of beat. The stone shot up, and loud I bleat. Though even with my bare shoes on, that stone would shoot up hard and strong. So when you're going for a walk, no shoes, barefoot thought, take the time to mind your steps and be in kindful, mindful depths.
You get a prickle. A big prickle. Oh well, small fruit, here we go. Small fruit, because like we got these little apples last week, didn't we? And they were like, are they crab apples? I don't know, they're yummy though. They're interesting. They said to me I used to work in Woolworths Fruit and Vegetable Distribution Centre, and the quality control checkers said the small fruit always tastes best. Small fruit is the best, juicy, tender, free of pests. Small fruit, juicy, sweet, much bigger than big flowery fruit to eat. Because big fruit isn't the best, old, seasoned, rotten and tasteless, not like small fruit from a tree, freshly picked and so yummy. Small fruit, dainty, little pear, mandarin, kiwi, small peach, nectarine, flavour of a little cherry, raspberry or a ripe strawberry. Yes, I love my small fruit, and my small beetroot also tastes good. Yeah, just something else. Who's coming up next? Who have I got? You know I don't have Saul on the list. I don't know how I forgot you, but I do have Gabriel coming on next. So welcome back, Gabriel, after a little absence. Away.
I got 4. 3 of them rhyme, and the first one is the final version of the fib poem I did a month ago. Fibonacci poem goes 1 syllable, 1 syllable, 1 and 1, 2, next one 2, 2 and 1, 3, next one 3. It goes up in Fibonacci numbers to 13 or 21, and then it comes back down again. So I edited the previous one and tarted it up. I sent it off to Fib magazine in America. They said, oh yes, we'll publish that. Can you turn it down a bit? So I toned it up a bit and sent it back. Said, we publish that? Okay. So that's coming now. Because it doesn't rhyme, but because it's structured, I'm going to pause a little tiny bit at the end of each line. So it doesn't just read like prose, which it otherwise would. And this one was called The Reserve Army of the Overeducated. How hard we worked to enter the most elite schools, the most exclusive colleges, to ascend the social and intellectual heights by our merit validated. Nothing but the best. Tuxedos, punts, France. Real, I haven't finished, that's only verse 1, mate. Real life later put us back somewhere whence we came, yet we alumni still relish cultures, cuisines, clever repartee at Brad's parties. We connoisseurs of civilization, reinforced when Facebook surfaced companions from our bright college days, then were preening with promise, Schadenfreude. Most of our mates still seem spectators, alumni, losers, clerks, sads. The lie our schools subtexted, I will express thus. In the words of West Side Story, there's a place for us. The place lies outside, shelved, cold. Do like to cheer people. Now, the next two, I've spoken to Gladys, just to make this quite clear. In the middle of January, I had a lump taken out of my arm, a lipoma, and that was after I'd had an MRI scan, a CAT scan. We don't know what that is. What, take it out, have a look. And so I thought, well, suppose I got cancer. Not many people write about that, least of all in poetry. Let's see if you put your money where your mouth is, exploring the boundaries of words and poetry. Do this. So I've started a saga, which may be a brief saga, if I turn out all clear, called The Cancer Worry Tales. And this is the first one. And that was based on a song from the early 80s, which probably one of you in the audience will remember, a hit called My Sharona by the Knack, about 1983. It was very nice, and so I tried to follow that rhythm. And this is called My Lipoma. Oh, my ugly lumpy bump, my lump, I'm not going to sing it, my ugly bump, when they going to let me cut you out, lipoma? Oh, you make my spirits slump, quite a side effect of my gout, lipoma. Never bad enough to get surgery. Guess I'm going to have to commit minor perjury. My, oh, woo, my lipoma. Told the doctor you'd grown big. Yes, you'd grown big. So she consented to get me a scan, lipoma. Then there was an MRI. Led to us saying goodbye, lipoma. Waiting for the call on the biopsy. Wondering if you'd shown some malignancy. My, oh, woo, my lipoma. Friday the 13th, the doctor rang. You have no original home, lipoma. So we'll get another scan. He's not even clutching at straws, lipoma. This is not the end, it is just the start. Take it off the shelf, add it to the cart. My, oh, whoop, my lipoma. And then I went to Coffs for a PET scan, and I'd just on TV seen a film called 8 Mile, which stars Eminem, and it shows how he made it through through the black communities in Detroit to become a big rap success. And I was very struck by just how authentic it came across. I wasn't expecting it to be really full of shit, and it wasn't. So that inspired this one. This is called PET Scan. This is the chorus. Hope this scan leads to some sort of plan. Hope this scanner got a wide spanner. Hope its message is loud and clear, even if it makes me cry a tear. Here are the verses. Vein sucking up the radiation juice. Soon my sinus shakes snot loose. Feet start twitching like a goose. Skin goes sticky and my tongue goes puce. I lie stock still for my PET scan. The big tube crackles like a noisy fan. Seeing little carcinomas flying blind. Locked in the dark in a blank state of mind. 50 minutes later and it's all done. Nothing lost, but what's been won. 4 more days until I learn how much time's left till it's my turn. In the tube I'm dreaming and I'm rapping to my nan. She says don't let yourself go wham. You've been a mover and a shaker. Don't be scared to meet your maker even though you ain't no Quaker. Will it be the chemo? Will it be the cut? Maybe some radio. Feel it in the gut. So that's the second one.
Woo! Yeah! Eminem!
And I see a consultant because the lead guy rang up and he said, I've got the results of this kind of, oh, tell me, how many days have I got to live? And he said, oh, they didn't say anything. I said, you mean the lab was inefficient? So he said, no, got no reason to think that. But we don't know where that one in your lump came from. So we go and see the oncologist and get some more blood tests. So, like for my previous half century of life or more, limbo, quite comfortable in limbo. It's okay. And lastly, you remember I mentioned that I downloaded the BBC Maestro, How to Write Poetry by Carol Ann Duffy, their previous poet laureate, and quite a lot of sensible stuff in. One of the things she said, with which my wife thoroughly agrees, is that we don't have enough nursery rhymes, and it's time we did some new ones. So I thought, now that's a challenge. Let me try and write a nursery rhyme without going really heavy halfway through. So that was a bit too hard, but nearly did it, nearly did it. Here it is. This is called David's Dog. Frozen walking through the fog, I fell over David's dog. He was chewing on a snail, so I took him by the tail. Then there came a clucking chook. Cheeky chick, the snail he took. I said, take it if you must. David's dog's head bit the dust. Get off, get up, the doggy said. Don't lie on me like a bed. As I only had $1, couldn't buy the dog a collar. Got up, took off my tie, puzzling the passers-by. Put it round the dog's black neck. He looked like a woeful wreck. The two of us walked on alone till we got to David's home. There was David on his mower, couldn't have moved it any slower. G'day mate, I brought your mutt. He asked, you some kind of nut? I never seen that dog before, and I don't want him near my door. So, now I own some kind of terrier. Life could not get any merrier. Every day he licks my face and spreads his poo about my place.
Thank you very much. Well, isn't it great to see like the breadth of our poets, how they can go from one to free verse to fractal, what do you call it? Fib, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's and great. All right. Here we go. There's two towns named Man in Myanmar. There's two places named Man in India. There's one place named Man in Yemen, and there's no man in Qatar. There's a man in America and a man in Pakistan. There's a man in Papua New Guinea and also Vietnam. There's one place named Man in Equatorial Guinea and one man in Indonesia. There's a man in Guinea and a man in Cameroon. There's also a man in Cote d'Ivoire. There are three places named Lady in Poland. Also a lady in France, one in Belarus, one lady in Russia, and there's no lady in my pants. Now, just on that note, like, because don't they want to censor or rewrite Roald Dahl? Yeah? I know. Well, like, could we we should censor Mother Goose as well. Like, because she had this one about, like, piss a bed, barley butt, your bum's so heavy you can't get up. I mean, it's about an alcoholic in bed. Like, seriously, you're going to sing that to your kids? And what about the one where the baby falls out of the tree? Like, smash, bang, ooh, nasty, yeah, the bow breaks. Yeah. And then, of course, Saul and I, we heard that great line, line that these days would not be politically correct from Slim Dusty, about the wonderful Aboriginal guy who, what was the line he had? he had a white, he had black skin, but he had a white heart, and that's what mattered most. And so, you definitely wouldn't say that these days. So do we go around censoring everyone? Or do we leave it as it is, as the great artworks that they were recognised at the time, and recognise them in the context and the social thinking of the time, the cultural thinking of the time, and learn from that not to be like that now, perhaps. So if we go around censoring these things, we end up with, like all the Dick and Jane books, with Whiteout, and you've got Peter and Jane, don't you? And I mean, some people think that, Peter's a name for Dick anyway, so, hey, yeah. All right, well, what about in the Bundjalung language, there's a couple of pronouns. They only have two. It's like Nulli, which means we, and Nullingar. So you can't change your pronoun. Nullingar means we all together, and the plant, the planet, the trees, the universe, etc. Up, down, in or out, up or down. I think I'll change my pronoun. Not a jockstrap. I have no bra. My new pronoun is Nullingar. Now, Nullingar must rewrite. So, Nullingar pronoun is right. Nullingar, what Nullingar means we're all together, both near and far. Nullingar means both you and me and him and her and he and she and all the animals and all the tree, all everything, Earth, galaxy, universe, and even the smallest flea. Here's a solution for all. Nulli, N-G-A-L-I. Two pronouns, Nullingar and Nulli, meaning all, everything, and along with we, our pronoun of we is now Nulli. Yeah, just a thought. Yeah. And Saul Cafarella, welcome to the stage.
I had a little friend there for a minute there. Hello everyone. Out there in the world. This is a little piece I wrote when I was about 17. I had a girlfriend, and she used to say to me all the time, like, I can't wait till the weekend, And I was like, but it's Tuesday. Like, what do you mean you can't wait till the weekend? And so I said to and wrote this. I'll get my glasses on. Goes, then, and here and now, I wonder what the future holds for now. Will we live to see another day? Time is such a strange thing in its way. You tell me that you wish tomorrow was today, and that's goodbye to one more day. Is it what you really want to waste away? You go into a dream, the last 10,000 days. You go into a dream for 30 years that seem like just one day. And when you wake, you find you're getting old, and you wish that you hadn't passed the days so fast. You look back and try to capture memories, but they're all gone. Here, every now and then, you wonder what it would be like to live again, to live without tomorrow or next Saturday. Just live one day in one day. Don't take too long to learn. Tomorrow gets its turn. And that is why, just live today. It's not really what you want to waste away. Don't go into that dream that lasts 10,000 days. Don't go into that dream for your 30 years that seem like just one day. And then I've got another one which is sort of little bit related to what James was talking about in the depression sort of world. It's you know, there's good days and bad days, and this one's I suppose it's called I Am Out of Touch. It goes, I am out of touch, no feeling. I put myself in other people's shoes. I still have no idea what's going on in their groove. I am out of touch, misleading. I put myself on the shelf, it's a ruse. I can't get enough, but I make some shitty excuse. I am out of touch, no meaning. I put myself in a song about blues, but don't you cry for me, I've got to live what I choose. I am out of touch, heart bleeding. I put myself out of reach of the groove. Still got no idea, so I make some shitty excuse.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm just about at the end of all of it. Here we go. Oh, look, I wrote so many this week. I think I wrote about 16 in the last couple of days, so I'm not, of course, going to read them all out because they're all, you know, when you write a lot of shit too. Yeah, but that's how you become a good poet. You've got to write bad stuff so then you keep improving your craft and you get, yeah, when you got ideas, and I just like writing. So, yeah, I enjoy it. So, a little morning poem, sitting out watching the clouds. Sunshine, cloud, sunshine, cloud, floating free. Silently, breeze rustles hair, leaves tumble down the street. Wispy hair, clouds swoosh away, flying to higher heights, blue and fair, pollution-free air, sun bright, delight. That's it. It's in the delivery though. A lot of that is in the delivery, perhaps. Yeah. Here's one. Help me understand. Let us walk hand in hand, two light bulbs shining bright. I'll lift you up, and then you can pull me up, and together we'll be at a higher height. Let's communicate. Honest, openly, to make little changes when it was quiet. You have my respect. I know I'm not always correct. Your perspective could be right. You have my trust. I care for you. This is a must. I promise you I'll never bite. I'm happy just to listen. Empathise with your position and embrace your day, also not. It's you I do revere. It's bliss, serene when you're here. Flesh hair, blue sky, is never trite. Finally, my intention is only positive, I ought to mention. My soul has no secrets it wants to hide. Yeah, so that's sort of got an A, B, sort of a C, B, D, E, B, it's in like triplets, three lines. You've got 2 lines that rhyme, and the third line, all of the third lines rhyme together. Each of the first line is quite short, the second line's a bit longer, and the third line's always that statement ending with the I rhyme. And Okay, look what else I've got here. And of course we forgot to mention this, but we didn't, because it's the most important thing. It's why Bernard's here. The High Country Theatre in Armidale presents this week and next week Favourite Shorts, a festival of rehearsed short play readings from original scripts. My favourite one, I like this one, My Son, The Actor Brilliant, Audience Choice Awards. There's a different program each week, so there'll be this week and next week. Program 1, Friday the 3rd, that's 2 days, and Saturday the 4th of March at 7:30, and Sunday the 5th at 2 p.m, the matinee. And then program 2, Friday the 10th and Saturday the 11th of March at 7:30 and Sunday at 2 p.m. They're produced by Margaret Sims and Benjamin Thorne. So High Country Theatre at the Garage, opposite the Belgrave Theatre, Cinema, in Armidale. Tickets are $20, concessions are $15, under 18s $10, and you can find them on trybooking.com. CFQWX, but you can replay that anyway because it's on YouTube and you just go replay, CFQWX, trybooking.com/CFQWX, and get your tickets to that. And don't forget what else we're doing here. Well, thank you very much everybody for coming along tonight. It's wonderful to have you all participate and come along, because it's always heaps of fun and interesting, and it just goes in so many different directions. From sapphire cats to Eminem. How's that? Yeah, fantastic. All right. He pulls another rabbit out of a hat. Yeah. So thank you very much. And if you're on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. Same on Facebook. And subscribe to the channel of Australian Poetry Hall of Fame so you can get notified when we put up new videos, which there's usually 2 a week going up. There's 2 on Tuesday. And last night, as I said, we did James Macaulay and Mary Gilmore. And next week, who knows what we'll do. But it's going to be another surprise. So thank you very much and good night.